of the carousel horse? Well guys, this is Watercolor Christmas Card Painting Series. We are on day 12 and it is the last day of the series. And so for that, I wanted to choose something that was less Christmassy, but more of a transition to the new year. And I was imagining the carousel horse because it's so iconic for children. It's so iconic for celebration. And so we're going to be painting the carousel horse today. Guys, I'm not going to be talking about the materials that we're going to be using or the pigments. I'm just going to dive into the painting. I'm going to show you the painting. Sit back and enjoy while I share with you the history of the carousel and the horse on it. And then for those of you who are wanting the full tutorial, I will be reopening my Patreon at the end of this month. Please stay tuned for that announcement. Okay, so let's talk about the definition. The carousel is an amusement ride. It has a rotating platform and there are individual seats on it for the riders. Oftentimes these individual seats are in the shape of animals. Most commonly they're in the shape of horses. Other names for the carousel are merry-go-round, roundabout, jumper, galloper, and the flying horses. And you keep seeing this trend of horses, horses, horses. Galloper, jumper, flying horses. By the end of this video, you'll know why that horse is so important on the carousel. Okay, so let's talk about history. Key elements of the modern carousel originated from the 12th century cavalry games. This is when the European Crusaders, they saw Arabic and Turkish soldiers riding their horses in circles and throwing clay balls back and forth. Now, this throwing of the clay ball was supposed to improve their dexterity, their agility, and their horsemanship skills. But for the soldier who didn't catch the clay ball or who missed it or whatever, was doused by the perfume that was inside of the ball when it broke on him, and he was shamed. So the Crusaders were amused and they called this the little battle. And the little battle comes from the Italian carosello or the Spanish carrocella. Carrocella, carousel, carousel, carousel. And when the Crusaders returned to Europe, they took with them this carosello game, and it became part of their training. By the 17th century, the perfume ball had kind of fallen out of fashion, and by this time, the soldiers in their training weren't even sitting on horses, they were sitting on wooden logs suspended by chains hanging on poles. And these soldiers would hold spears and try to spear rings from above and tear them off of whatever was holding them. This was the new carousel game for the soldiers. Over time, however, jousting was just falling out of fashion, but the games did not. Commoners started participating in these games, and then commoners started sitting their children on these wooden logs, and this became the first carosello or carousel horse, although it didn't have horse legs as yet. These wooden animals began capturing the imagination of people. And by the 18th century, the spread of the wooden horse carousel at fairgrounds and campgrounds was all over Central Europe and England. And then from there to other parts of the world. The world has many very famous carousels, but there is one that I do want to mention, and it is the greatest and most fantastical of them all. It is at the House of Rock in Wisconsin. This carousel is an elaborate confection of 269 hand-carved animals, all individually hand-carved, all individually unique, and they are in eternal revolution on this carousel. But what is really unusual is not one single one of those animals is a horse. And you're probably wondering, where are the horses? The horses are all over the ceiling. Hundreds of horses looking down on their 269 animal friends as they are in eternal revolution. Okay, so let me add that not all carousels have animals as seats. So some of them have swings and some have cars, motorcycles, there's some planes, there's some really unique ones out there. But let's go back to the horse. Whenever you see a horse carousel, you will know certainly that the horse is going to take on 3 positions. One position is all 4 legs are on the ground, and this is called the standing figure. And actually, I was looking for pictures on the standing figure of the horse carousel, and I couldn't find one. Probably because it's not that magical. You can see a horse standing out on the field, and that's what it looks like. So I couldn't find that kind of a picture. However, the second most popular one is 2 back legs are on the ground, and the 4 legs are pawing the air or hoofing the air. This horse is called the prancer. Very magical. But the most magical and the most common of all is the one that has the 4 legs in the air, and this is called the jumper. This is what I have painted. So guys, I painted a carousel with its legs in the air, and I wanted to give it a little life, a little lift, and so I put clouds under it. And so guys, now you know the history of the carousel, and whenever you see a carousel horse, you will know the perfume of the past is scenting the magic of the present.